Well, hello, No Stone Unturned. Y'all know who I am. I'm Francheska Gwenadette, and I have a very special guest in the building with me today. It is Miss Cathy Toliver. Thank you so much for coming to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Community activist. I love to have a woman with a voice on my show because I feel like I just have a mouth. So to have another woman who stands up for what they believe in, community activist. Let's get there. What made you start? What made you want to become an activist?
Well, you know, I've always cared about young people, but I started out first of all with women. I had an organization called Sister Girls of America, and that catered to women. And my campaign was about failure is not when you fall, it's when you don't get back up. And so as I campaigned for women for years and years and years, then the warden of a juvenile institution called and asked me if I would come and mentor some juvenile offenders. And that's when I really, really launched into that field. And then from there, I mean, it just went off. And so I've been doing it for about 35 years. And so I got into a place where I was getting ready to retire because I felt like I've given my service until my 3-year-old grandbaby was murdered. And when that happened, I mean, I just took a shift. So now it's against gun violence.
So can you take us to that moment or that day? Like, can you take us there as much as you can?
So my sweetie grandbaby, I called him Sneakerdoodle. His name is Devin Page Jr. I call him Sneakerdoodle. And I had just told him good night. Well, let me back up just a little bit. How that happened.
Please.
My daughter had just moved into a rental property. And in moving into that property, we were told that it was a safe area. Well, so maybe a week or so as she moved in, and we were a very close family, shooting was just coming. You know, people were just shooting. And so my daughter began to go to the property manager and say, look, we need to move from here because it's not safe. And they wouldn't move her. And so, you know, the gun violence kept going, and then I got involved. And so when Mama got involved, we took it to another whole level. I remember on that Wednesday, you know, there was some shooting on that Tuesday, and on that Wednesday, my daughter called me and she said, Mama, she said, they did it again. I told her to make sure she filmed it. We went to the rental property on that Wednesday morning, and she showed them the video, and and I told them, I said, look, y'all gonna move her. And my daughter said, if you guys don't move us, because it has nothing to do with us, someone will be killed. And about 8 o'clock that night, because I go to bed early, I just felt God laying on my heart and said, call and say goodnight to the grandkids like I always do. But I felt a strong unction that particular night to call my grandkids and say goodnight. So I FaceTimed them, and lo and behold, it was just Sneakerdoodle. And my daughter had the phone, and she gave him the phone, and he said, hey, Grammy. And, you know, and I said, hey, sweetie. I said, I love you. He said, I love you too, Grammy. And he said, I'll see you. And he said, I can't wait to see you. I said, where are your siblings? He said, they're asleep. And it just chokes me up even still. And I told him, I said, well, I'm going to see you in the morning. He said, okay, Grammy. And about 45 minutes later, my phone rang, and my daughter calls me screaming, Mama, they just killed my baby. Oh my God. It was like, you know, it was nothing that I could even imagine. My husband and I jumped in the car. I don't even know how we got out of the house because we were bumping all into the wall, and we got down there, and lo and behold, someone was shooting at the neighbor's house, and they shot up 40 times, and the very first bullet went through my daughter's window, and it blew my grandbaby's brains out. And so when that happened, you know, her life, it hadn't been the same. My life is not the same. I have one remaining grandson. He saw the baby's brains splattered on the wall. So, you know, it's just a jacked up situation. And when I tell you, I have been now advocating. We have a law, we have Devin's law passed for my grandson for people who are in the same situation that my daughter was in, that was in an unsafe, place to live. So we have a law passed in his name where property owners have to be responsible for their property. Since then, I've been to the White House, met with our Vice President Kamala Harris, and we were talking about gun violence. And from there, I've just been, pushing the envelope nonstop. Just the other day, we just did a big rally. I'm always on the street in the high crime areas, letting people know, put your guns down. So that was a hard story to tell, but that's why I'm still doing it.
Being such a strong person, being that advocate, being that voice for others who don't have a voice, when you become the story, or when you become the person to advocate for, or have to, your family member, your own daughter, your grandbaby. That's a big difference than, just for women's rights, like you started. Now the passion, the drive, I know is so personal. Do you every day have to take that personal feeling with you, or do you sometimes have to pull back?
It never leaves.
It never leaves, huh?
It never, ever, ever, ever leaves. And if you ask my daughter, she would say the same. When I inhale, even sitting here, when I inhale, it's painful. When I exhale, it's painful. But I have to be strong for my daughter and be strong for my remaining grandson. Because the day I stop will be the day I probably will crack up. And so I won't let that happen. And by the grace of God, he's just been keeping all of us. But, that fight never leaves. Never, ever leaves. And you think it would. So it has shifted my passion now. When people lose a child, a lot of times people will feel, well, other people, like someone made a big mistake in saying to me, well, Cathy, y'all need to stop talking about the baby so much. Other people have lost a child as well.
What?
If you know me, and I put that gangster on real quick, and it just pushed me into another whole territory. My voice became louder in the community and the surrounding areas. And I guarantee you that person will never say that to me again. But you have to have compassion with people, because you don't know. I talked like I'm sitting here, but you don't know that my heart is broken. And you don't know that getting out of the bed every day is an effort. So when I see people and I hear their story, I have strong compassion for them, because everybody's going through something, but everybody doesn't deal with it the same way, and that's why you have people on medication, people smoking weed, whatever their vice is, drinking, because they're trying to numb that painful feeling. But I've learned how to live with it, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, and if I did drink or smoke, I would probably be an alcoholic. After that situation, I would probably be a druggie after that situation. So you just have to learn how to live with it and trust God.
That's right. And having an advocate also helps to stay off of that. Sometimes I just don't know what words to put with my feelings, or where do I go? Who do I talk to about this situation that just happened, or the situations that are happening in my community? Like you spoke on, you guys saw prior, it wasn't just an isolated incident that happened to your grandson. This was something that was happening in this community on a daily basis, or just too often to be comfortable. It's some people who just don't know where to turn. Like, who do I talk to get this to stop?
You have to have your circle.
That's good.
You have to have a circle of people. I make sure that my daughter has a circle. I make sure that my grandson has a circle, and I'm a strong circle for them, because I'm always trying to lift them up. But then when it comes to me, who's my circle? I'm a loner, Now I may be in a crowd of people, I may speak or whatever, but I'm a loner. When I'm not in front of the camera, or if I'm not working or whatever, you will find me at my house. You will find me spending a whole lot of time with God. You will find me reading a lot. And that's how I find my strength. You know, because there are people out there you can't trust. Yes, and when there are people out there you can't trust, then you have to create your own circle. So for me, I became what I wanted to receive.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the power of being an advocate. Being the person who you know someone else needs. Yeah. They need me in this moment. So I have to shake off whatever I'm feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, even going with a broken heart. Like you said, this person needs the words to go along with their feelings. I'm so happy you came to talk to me.
I'm so glad to be here. I love this setup. I believe that you're reaching multiple people, and people need an avenue where they can hear truth. They need a space where they can turn to, because you never know. I never will forget one night, it was about 11 o'clock. I was angry. I was furious. It was years ago. I was furious. I mean, I was angry. And I remember picking up the phone, and I was calling my sister in California, and I was about to tell her, look, I have 2 children.
Okay.
They're grown now, but this is when they were little. And I was picking up the phone to tell her, say, look, I need you to take care of my children. And I put the phone down because she has 2 children, and I figured, okay, well, she has her own life. So I put the phone down, and I picked up my car keys. I was gonna drive. And I could have driven off a cliff, but I was that full. I was just gonna drive and never come back. I will never forget that day, about 35, 40 years ago, but I will never forget that day. And when I got up and picked up my keys and took the first step, the phone rang. It was my sister, the one I was gonna call. And I put the phone on mute, and I remember bawling because at that moment, God knew I was about to bust out of here. And it saved my life. And that is why I always encourage people, check on somebody. You know, check on their mental state. I don't care how fly they are, how cool they look, how much money they have, you know, because I've met the best of them, and they're broken.
That's it.
You know, it's not just the people on the street that you see that are homeless, because some of those have encouraged me. But you need to check on people and find their mental state and see what's happening with them, and bring them back and let them know you care.
That's real. Okay, Miss Cathy, so working at Southern University, right? Marketing coordinator.
Yeah.
How is that?
I love it. We just did a big event at the Mini Dome, Southern University's Mini Dome, where we did a Know Your Rights for Kids. And what that's about is my director, she's all about helping young people know their rights when they're stopped by the police, because many of them do not know their rights. Good. And so, and we produce these Know Your Right bracelets that have the city police shield and the sheriff's shield on it. And what this is the community and the police bridging together, saying when you see a kid with this bracelet on and you stop them, you know, the kid has the right to ask you to turn on your body cam, and then the kid will follow the instructions. So, you know, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, but it is a start. So we had about 500-600 young people for our first event. We're gonna do it every year, Know Your Rights for Kids, and marketing that. I mean, I really worked that particular event. But the law clinic, shout out to Professor Virginia Lestage, who's my director. I just adore her, who gives me the opportunity to be creative and do the things that God calls me to do.
That are very important. Our children need to know how to react in that scenario, because it is a life or death situation.
Always.
Always. When we come into contact with law enforcement. So what would be, give me one tip or two that we can give our young people real quick.
When they stop you, one of the things, because I listen to my director a lot, but one of the things, when you are stopped, you know, first thing you have to do is know your rights. You know your rights. Why are you stopping me? That's the first thing you ask. Why are you stopping me? Know your rights. Get out of the car. Why am I getting out of the car? You know, ask the right questions. Do your research. But also keep in mind that when you are stopped on side of the road or stopped by a police, that's not the time to do your court stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Take it to, because I've done it. I've taken it to court. Hey, I see you. I'll just sit there and smile. Say, I'll see you in court, and then get to court and win, But know your rights, because you do have some corrupt officers and you have some good officers. The corrupt officers will press your buttons. And if you are a ramped up person, with some fire in you, you're gonna speak up for yourself. Yeah. So it's automatically knowing that when you are stopped, already have in your mind what you want to do when you are stopped.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much for the work that you do in our community, your activist work, over at Southern University.
Yeah.
We need you.
Thank you. And I thank God, because the only thing I can give the people is what God gives me. But she's beautiful. This was wonderful. And I can't wait to do more with you. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. If anybody needs to find you, how can they get in touch with you? Social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, and I'll give them my information. You can reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay. No Stone Unturned. You know what it is. It's Francheska Gwenadette. You know where to catch us on all our various streaming platforms. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.